for 3 months.
Yeah, I find that place so fascinating. But when you look at it, you don't see so much support from the government. And I think, because someone was even telling me we still have animals in this place that most people don't even think they were here. But as time goes on, these animals were also, disappearing, just like the other animals that were there before. So I think that is something that is really, really important. I wish the government will do more. And talking about the environment, you go to the Gunjurs and what is it called, Brufut areas, the fisheries and industry also, they have their own complaints. Some of them, they will tell you that the Chinese and other people are actually destroying the environment and they are getting away with it. And the most painful part of it is that most of the cases are being reported to our government authorities, but nothing is done on it. So not done about it. So I think it is important that we discuss these issues here on the media frequently. I actually have an unpublished story about one of these cases in Brufut or Gunjur. Yeah, I actually have video evidences, of these people doing very, very bad things to our environment. But the thing is, if you publish it, at the end of the day, nothing comes out of it. And again, they said the police are aware of it. I actually contacted the police about one incident. They told me this has been reported here before. So the action from the government is a little bit lacking. But yeah, this what is it called? Informed people like you coming out to speak to the general public about these issues is very, very helpful. As it is important as all of us, helping to preserve the environment.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, Sam, you want to say something, or you good before we move to the next topic?
I'm good. I was just smiling because he mentioned the Chinese in that place. They are destroying our environment, and unfortunately, that's something we've talked about before. And I personally am totally against that. And I once talked about the president taking action on that too, but it's not done. And unfortunately, I'm not running for president. But if I were the president, the first day in office, that would be one of my executive powers to take to really.
If you don't mind, I want to give you an example of some of the things, some of the unreported things there. The guys told me that our people who do go into the deep sea to do some sort of fishing, they told me that they believe there is a ship that comes to meet the Chinese fishers that are resident in the Gambia. So a ship from an unknown location will come and meet with the Chinese ship in the deep sea, and they will just put some fish in it, and the fishes will be exported to somewhere. Mind you, no taxes paid to the Gambian government or duties or anything. So all these are things that are being reported actually to the to the Gambian Navy. And the sad thing is, some stories, when it is reported to them, they said the Navy will tell you things like, buy fuel, for us to be able to go into the deep sea and investigate these matters. And another incident was they suspected that the Chinese actually happened to end the life of some of our young fishermen because they have video evidence of the Chinese running their ship into their small ships. You understand? Because these people are small boats, small fishing boats. So the Chinese, because they compete with the Chinese when it comes to the distance, fishing territory, because the law is a bit complex. The law is clear as to how deep you need to go into the ship to fish, depending on the size of your ship. You understand? Or your boat. So the Chinese, by law, they should be going deep into the sea because they have bigger ships and also bigger fishing nets. So they will not want to waste their time to go deep into the sea. So they compete with our people, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 nautical miles. So there was an incident that they believe that it was the Chinese that actually crashed one of their colleagues, and the person happened to die. And it is not thoroughly investigated, like I said. But this and many other incidents have been reported to the Gambian Navy. They said they have a lot of cases at the Navy that is also not investigated.
Wow, a lot of things are happening, and then our government.
Yeah. It is actually scary. One incident, the people were in the act. I have a video evidence of it. When I contacted the police, they told me we have previous reports of these things happening here. But I said to them, these people are actually on the act, and I have video evidence. Can you just go there now? And they were like, okay, because these are people from the administrative part. They are not operations. Okay, So they said, okay, we are going to contact Brufut police station or something. So they contacted the Brufut police station. It turned out the police checkpoint and the crime incident was literally like, few, meters away. Nothing happened to this day. I have the video evidence. But the thing is, information, you have to be responsible. You cannot just release every kind of information wherein the sender or your source will be very easily revealed. But at some point, I'll come out with the information. And with passionate, maybe I can even share it with passionate people like you who are interested in the area of discussion.
I think some of these things we need to expose them. As long as we have evidence, we need to expose them to medias, because
absolutely,
that would really force our people to be accountable. But nothing getting investigated, nothing being prioritized. All is like let it the people are doing everything that they could possibly do behind closed doors, and we are not even aware of it. So it's kind of sad.
Yep.
But thank you for sharing that information.
Thank you. That's very good information. And unfortunately, the police may not be able to do a whole lot there. I mean, what would they do? Police don't have the tools and technology. This is the area of the Navy. If they're equipped and have the right boats and to follow these people, they are the ones that need to go out.
This illegal activity I was talking about, that was recorded. It was recorded just by the Ceesay. It is like more like a routine for the people that are involved in it. It is explicitly illegal. I asked the police officially, I asked the police, a very senior officer, I just don't want to mention the name. I said, "Sir, are these people actually paying taxes from these activities?" He said, "No, they are not paying taxes from these activities, and it is an economic activity. So, and the activity actually is harming both Gambia and Senegal. You understand? So, if anybody have a very good connection in Senegal, you report the matter to the Senegalese authorities. I'm sure they will take it very, very seriously, because for them, it is just unacceptable. But in Gambia, they can just do it about 200 or 300 meters away from a police checkpoint, and it's just normal."
Wow, that's sad.
That shows how irresponsible our people are.
Yeah.
So, all right. So now we're going back to the meat and potato of our discussion, which is the Constitution, the new Constitution, I would call it. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of cloud about the Constitution compared to the 2020 CRC Constitution. So, Wonderful, you probably you haven't introduced yourself, but Sam and I and Famara, we host this program here, and we all in the United States here. I'm in New York. And I also do community organizing, and I have my groups that I found. So Sam can tell you a little bit about himself, and then Famara, and you can just do your introduction, and then we can just go into the constitutional review stuff. Let's make it just brief, yeah.
Yeah, I thought Wonderful was once here before, was he not?
No, this is the first time.
No, I was invited, but I wasn't actually here.
Oh, okay, okay. I remember the name for some reason. That's
I didn't move here last week, but
okay, good. Well, I'm Sam Ceesay. I live in Indianapolis, Indiana, which is another state in America here. I am the president of the Gambian Association here. I am also the founder of Solutions for Gambia. So, but just to make it short, I co-host this with Mr. Sawaneh and Famara here on Sunday. So definitely welcome to the talk show.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much.
And Famara, you can also briefly introduce yourself.
Thank you, Wonderful. My name is Famara Drammeh. I'm also based in the United States in Maryland, but I've come from Brufut originally. Yeah.
Originally from?
I come from Brufut originally. So because you mentioned Kiang West National Park, I used to work for the Parks and Wildlife. I used to be in Abuko and Kiang West National Park before I went to National Environment Agency. So that's where I last worked before I moved to the US. Yeah. So nice to have you around. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much.
Yeah, wonderful. So you can just briefly describe this. I give you an intro, and then we can just move on to the topic.
Yeah, thank you so very much, my brother. My name is Momodou Sawaneh. I am a Jaranka, actually. I was born and brought up in Jara, and then I left Gambia about 10 years ago. But until I left Gambia, I was a national athlete for the Gambia. I have represented Gambia in international competitions such as the World Youth Championship, the African Youth Championship as a youth athlete. And then as an adult athlete, I was obviously in Europe, so I couldn't, but I was doing my things here in Europe until I decided I was going to settle for university and just study law. I studied LLB in international and European law, and here in The Hague, at the Hague University of Applied Sciences. But I haven't followed anything like a master's or law school yet in Gambia. That's my aspiration, either in Gambia or somewhere. But as of now, I haven't gone to any law, school, what is it called again, bar school or law school to formally become a lawyer. All I did was my bachelor's in law. So I reside in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam. I live in Amsterdam. This is where I work and live for like a decade. So yeah, that's the summary of who is Wanifa. And I'm also, of course, a supporter of the United Democratic Party.
Yeah, you was gonna miss that, and I was gonna bring that up. Yeah, of course, a political activist, kind of like.
Yeah, I support the United Democratic Party, of course. But yeah, political activist. I would take that.
Yeah, very good. And you are also critical about the government. I'm pretty sure about that.
Yes, of course. I'm very, very critical of President Adama Barrow, because I think President Adama Barrow has the simplest of tasks, and he still failed at it. And that task is just simply to give hope to Gambians. There was nothing like get into this infrastructural development, get into that agreement. No, just give us hope. We were beaten by Jammeh. We just want hope. That's it. Like Dinengoba Kumbola, yeah, they did wrong. That's all we wanted. We don't ask for more from President Adama Barrow. So the task or the assignment was quite simple, and he still failed. So I cannot align with that.
But yeah, so that part we're gonna come to that, because you and Adama share the same party at some point. So I'm pretty sure you're familiar with it, with his way of doing so. And maybe it's just a surprise what you just saw right now. But we will dive into that. But let's just go into the task, which is the Constitution. You mentioned that you are you're a law student, and perhaps you have some knowledge about the law. I'm pretty sure you read the new Constitution, and you have also knowledge about the old one. So we just want to see what is the cloud about this new Constitution? Why we were claiming about Constitution for long, and finally it's delivered to us. What is the big deal? Why are we shouting about this new one?
Well, I refuse to get into specific clauses here and there and the theories and concepts behind everything. You have to look at what is the aim. Okay, the aim here is very simple. Is to bring in a constitution, a legitimate constitution that will ensure that we have a system of government, and also so that we can end this cycle of. Do you remember that since 1965 to this day, the Gambia does not even have a peaceful transition of power?
Yeah, we know.
That's like one important thing that you want to end. Also, from 1965 to now, Gambia only had like 2 presidents. Both presidents, after their presidency, had to flee the country. You want to end that. You want to make sure that there is always a peaceful transfer of power. Right. And when that happens, the ex-president will be able to reside inside the country, just like other civilized nations are doing it. And so now, if you have to diagnose the problem first before these intellectuals and experts will try to confuse us. We have to use our own common sense. What Jammeh and Jawara has in common was they had no plan to exit, and they all overstayed in power. So now, does it even make any sense whatsoever to replace Yahya Jammeh, who served for 22 years, with Adama Barrow, who will serve for either 15 or 20 years? It does not make any sense. It defeats the purpose of the change. It is almost going to be a change that never happened. So the experts they are not deceiving us, and they are just deceiving themselves. And when President Adama Barrow refused to listen to us because we are political activists or we are UDP, what is going to happen in the end is, when there happens to be any kind of political impasse, or he happens to have like an undesirable exit from power, and there is some sort of political tension, these experts that he is taking advice from will be sitting at BBC, CNN, Al Jazeera, being experts there on panels, talking about Gambia and Gambian politics. But I kid you not, there is one thing that they will never say on those panels. That is to tell their audience, those Western media, how they advise the president to literally go for a third and fourth term, which they know very well.
Yeah, but it looks like you're concerned here. You're hammering on the term, and other people are saying other things like having the asset declaration and other areas, for judges and so forth. So if you are hammering under the terms, somebody just called me yesterday and say, listen, what is wrong with the Constitution? Can you point me out what is wrong with this new Barrow's Constitution? People call it Barrow Constitution. I couldn't say even a word. I mean, because I didn't read it. So
no, there are other issues. I can tell you.
He said, 1 second. They said, if we're talking about term, right? Is it better that we go with this one that would stop him at some point than to worry about what he had spent in power? Because if we say let's garbage this, that means it's open for him to stay for 50 years. For 100 years, like Jammeh used to say. So it's rather we take this and then deal with at some point, let him stop, than to fight or throw this away. We don't have no constitution. We stay with 1997 constitution. And now he can stay up to 50, up to our lifetime. So that argument, this is the parallel that somebody brought to me. And I'm just bringing it to this show here because somebody brought me that, and I said, wow, that also is a point. We can scrap this in the parliament. It's very easy, right? Because if the numbers are not there, they're not going to pass.
Okay,
Yeah, go ahead.
When you talk about this whole draft constitution, it all has to do with dialogue, negotiation. So we will all have to settle for something. So, but one thing that was, even Dr. Ismaila Ceesay, even though he misled the public, and maybe we'll get to that, he he highlighted rather that the one issue that they did not agree on was the term limit issue that was going to be applied in their interpretation as retroactive. That was the contentious one. So that's why I'm not trying to waste time on other topics. But I will give you another example of issues that were changed or altered from the 2020 draft constitution. One was the powers vested to the president, the powers given to the president, the way and manner he's supposed to appoint a state minister, for example, and some other senior government officials. There was supposed to be a check on the president when he's supposed to appoint ministers. The parliament was going to have some sort of what is it called, oversight control, to be able to vet some of the people that the president wishes to appoint. So he altered that as well. It is not just that. He altered that because he said he felt like the president's powers are being reduced. In Ismaila Ceesay's remarks, he said the Gambia is a very presidential system. I don't know the exact words that he used, but he said it's heavily, more like a very presidential kind of system. And by that, he means what they taught us in high school, that is the right to hire and fire. So they did not want anybody to kind of interfere with the president's right to hire and fire. So it is not as if we do not know some of the other things that were changed in the draft constitution. Other things were changed. But if you are looking at it now, for example, the United Democratic Party may settle, and I'm not speaking for the United Democratic Party, but I know that a lot of opposition may let the president get away with some of those things if he's going to, listen to us about regarding what we have to say about the retroactive application of the term limit. So we know that a lot of other things have been changed in the constitution, but you cannot just tell him to literally remove all those things. And also a whole chapter, remember, a whole chapter on integrity has been removed. And if there is time, I want to tell you how President Adama Barrow relied on international law to do that and refused to apply international law in other case. Which other case you think he does not want to apply it to? That is the case of the retroactive application of the term limit.
Right. So in other words, if President Barrow agreed to the term limit, are you gonna let the constitution go in your own terms? Would you favor it?
Again, I am not speaking for the United Democratic Party, but
on your own terms.
Overwhelmingly, almost everyone, including people from the NPP, agreed that the draft died, because the opposition were not happy with the term limit issue. The president felt he was singularly targeted with the language of the constitution. But who drafted this constitution, you have to ask. This was not the drafting of the United Democratic Party. It was drafted by experts, mostly Gambian. You understand, consulted Gambians in their natural habitat, and also Gambians in abroad. So we all agree that this is what we want to put on paper. Right. So the National Assembly, with the powers that we have given them, they can change one or two things there, but they do not have to, change it in such a way that our what we aspire to be in the constitution will be changed by way of their amendments. You understand? So we understand there can be changes here and there, but what they have changed, example from this one, is just too much.
It's too much.
And when they talk about dialogue, they did not consult anyone, or they did not agree with anyone through any dialogue or negotiation regarding the things that have been changed here, even regarding the powers of the president, the removal of the ethics and integrity thing in the constitution. Who agreed with them to remove those things?
Right. So that's something that we are, I think, we'll be debating. But before Famara and then Sam comes, the head of the United Democratic Party, Honorable Hussein Udabo, said, even Tondo, Nabota, in the old constitution, we had him say that it's not going to be accepted, by his folks. Is that something that you think, would still happen? Because if that happens, then Tondo has been removed on this one. So that means we are back to square zero. We are back to no governance. No, because 1997 constitution, we all agree is not a good constitution.
And when you talk about the 1997 constitution, that's just a reminder that the constitution of the Republic of the Gambia that we have right now, that is the supreme law of our land, is actually a constitution that was brought in by a military government. Isn't that a shame? After bringing in a civilian government for 7 years. That's just a shame. So Lawyer Dabo understands what Barrow wants to do. Barrow was concerned about two things. That is, any attempt to preclude him from running for a third term or a fourth term in office, he feels like that is just a no-no. That is a non-negotiable area. And also, he does not want his powers to be checked by the National Assembly. He does not want any of his presidential powers to be removed. And also, he wants to make sure that he is given a very secure and, state-sponsored lifestyle. Because that's the only one.
Which one? That has been passed already. That has been passed already. So we passed that. We talk, that's not in the constitution. But what we're trying to
I mean, he's after his presidency, he also wants in this new constitution. He also wants to make sure that he's very well taken care of by the state after his presidency.
Yeah, but he has a package for that already. That was approved by the National Assembly. But what we're trying to point here is that your team UDP, because your area where you came from and then the leader, what he said, is that the stand of the the party or the leader? Because in that case, that means we have no constitution.
Let me just give you a disclaimer. That is, like I said, I think I said this 2 times already. I'm not the official speaker for UDP, and I do not want to mislead anyone regarding this. But I know for a fact that the best that you can have for Gambians is a constitution that was drafted by the CRC. You understand? Not the one by the cabinet. The cabinet does not have such powers. The Constitutional Review Committee, through experts, including the Chief Justice, including other veteran lawyers and judges in Gambia and the sub-region, the one that they put together, I think that will best serve the interests of the Gambians because these are the relevant experts.
But we know that the executive are not going to agree with that. So at some point we have to agree. When you have fractions, like my boy said, what's it, Gayso, he's one of the CRRC. He said in order for Gambia to have a constitution, UDP and MPP must come to terms because they are the biggest party, and it looks like this is pull and pull between them. Because we need future for our children, right? If we are stuck at term limits or president's power, why can't we sit on the table and make something happen so we have something? Because if we don't have something, we are still a blank check, a blank opening, presidency forever. So at some point, this one messed up. We know Barrow didn't keep his word. 3 years.
Let me remind you, if you don't mind.
Yes, we all know that Barrow didn't put, and he messed up in the first constitution by, having his people voted against that one. We all know that facts. Those facts are there. But now what do we do to move forward? The solution man is here, Sam Ceesay. So maybe he can jump in and then come up with a solution in this, because we're stuck. Yeah, I mean, like.
No, before you jump to Sam, I want to remind you something. That the president have said on 2 occasions, at least I can remember, the ones that I can remember, that he wanted a national dialogue. But just before the national dialogue, he will say, outrageous statements. The other one I cannot remember. He was in one of the, at one of his rallies at the Upper River region or Sierra, somewhere, in the provinces. He said some very outrageous remarks, and people were like, I don't think UDP should even attend this so-called national dialogue. So when you want dialogue, you have to be serious about the dialogue. And those dialogues were not just mere dialogues. They were going to be dialogues that, will bring UDP and NPP to the table, behind the scenes, and talk, have some sort of consensus about the most contentious issues in this draft constitution. That's what was going to happen. But the last call for national dialogue, it's just shortly after that one he was talking about his desires to stay in power until Dabo is not living anymore. So he's not serious about the dialogue.
Yeah. So one thing.
Mm-hmm.
So before my partners come, one thing, either with, like Barrow not running for third term or not running for fourth term, if Gambian people want, Barrow cannot even run for third term because they will vote him out. So with or without the constitution, Barrow can be out. All Gambian people have to do is to come together. So if you're gonna if we're gonna let our constitution not applied, and we were gonna lose, because in that case, we will not have any law. We're trying to stop him, because that's why we're trying to we say we're rejecting the constitution. If we have no choice, right? Let the constitution stand, and we go to the ballot box and pick him out. So he will not. There's a way to stop him not to go to third term. So it's not like there's no way.
Yeah,
Let's work on that.
I think you are being very reasonable. I think you are just being reasonable and logical to know that we should not be oblivious to the fact that Gambians can rise up and demand that the president does not go to the. We don't go to the polls with the president for a third time. Okay. And those are national security.
I don't think
we are talking about it.
As a lawyer, I don't think there's no constitution. There's nobody who can stop the president from running third term legally, because there's no document. That's the fact.
No. Wait. I'm just telling you that. that you recognize the fact that Gambians can actually demand that they do not, by way of protest. Is that not what you were insinuating?
No. I'm saying there's no legal documents to stop the president from.
No. We are, just wait. I'm talking about the practical aspect here. Do you not believe that Gambians can go out and protest as a Gambian, from what you know and perceive from Gambian?
I don't want to take. I will not take that route. If you
no, I'm not saying you take that route. No, yeah. I'm saying that if that happens, will you be surprised, or can't you see something like that happening?
I will not encourage it.
No, it's not about encouragement. No, come on, don't be a mainstream journalist.
He's saying, do you believe Gambians will go? Yeah,
Gambian could do that. Yeah, that could happen because.
Okay,
listen,
so now,
I don't represent the whole Gambia, so I know anything can happen.
My point is not that people should go out. My point is the fact that is a possibility is one thing that you need to consider about this retroactive application of the Constitution. Because when you talk about even human rights, exemptions and derogations are allowed. And one of the exemptions and derogations is the issue of national security interest. So in the interest of national security and the legitimate expectation of Gambians that they want a president who will only serve for a period of 10 years, presidents should just not go for a third term. So I refuse to be confused by the experts with their theories. We have to be practical.
Well, if there's something that is in the standby, that could be. But what we have to do is what we have to look beyond, and then try to have a constitution. Either to go and meet president at the dining table and sit with him, and we have a talk and involve the international body, but we need to have a constitution. We have to have agreement. And just like Geso said, who is one of the CRRC lawyers, UDP and MPP need to agree for us to be saved. Otherwise, we're gonna be.
My brother, you know that in the first place, if somebody is serious about bringing UDP and NPP together, you know that you should not have somebody like Sidinjai being the face of NPP. Let's be practical here, please. Don't listen. I know the experts are right on most issues, but you want to tell me that Sidinjai is the one who will negotiate with UDP, and UDP is going to negotiate with NPP after the president saying that he will stay in power until Dabo is dead? Look, I mean, we have to be serious about what we expect also from UDP.
Well, brother, like at this point, we're less involved in international world, but we need a constitution. The Gambian people are demanding for a constitution, and the CRRC people are saying two parties are holding us from this, because without a negotiation with them, there cannot be any constitution. And I believe what my boy said about that, So, because he is definitely an expert in this area, and he
did a fantastic job. In fact, I side with them, because that's why I said let's go with their version of the constitution, of the draft constitution. They did a fantastic job, and I think we should just go with their. So is a respected lawyer. He did a fantastic job. That's why he was on that CRC. He's so good that I want us to go with the draft, the version of the draft that they brought for us. But the president is not willing to go with that, because the president felt like that draft will not allow him to stay longer in power, and also that his powers will be reduced. These are the two aspects. Essentially, these are the two aspects that the president doesn't want. And both are not.
I will allow my co-panelists.
Both are not good signs, by the way. A president who is willing to stay longer in power, a president who does not want his powers to be checked. We should always care of that president.
Of course, I agree. Simon, now I exhausted my part. Simon,
this is an interesting.
Yeah, I'll just come in quickly because I gotta go to work.
Ahead,
so
yes, go ahead.
I mean, it's a very interesting situation we found ourselves in. Now, I want to ask Wandifa for the fact that the Gambia has decided to do this amendment on the constitution without coming out public until people started, detecting that there is some changes. Is this action itself illegal, or the government has the power? They can do that to the fact that, like, we are expecting the justice minister coming out very soon to explain why they took out the whole chapter, or why they make some amendments here and there. But why is it that the government decided to do that without following the proper procedure or consulting the citizens of the Gambia? And then the other thing is, I've seen Dr. Ismaila recently, the Minister of Communication. They said they went to Nigeria. It was only your party, UDP, that did not accept, whatever negotiation they had over there about the draft constitution. So, and then the same thing that Sawaneh is trying to mention here, that only UDP and MPP can sit together and then comes to terms so that the Gambia can have the constitution that we need. But I just want to know what the government did. Is it something illegal, and what can we do about that situation? Thank you.
No, gazetting that document, there cannot be anything illegal about it. We all went to school. We all know you want to be diligent when you do things right. And one of my lecturers, actually, who was a judge in the UK, said, as a lawyer, you have only 3 weapons: prepare, prepare, prepare. If you fail in your preparations, you always fail. So that's what happened to them. What happened was they published, they gazetted it, but unlike the CRC, like my Sawaneh's friend, was, those people were very, very diligent with their work. They did not only come up with a comprehensive document, but there was also another document that was there to explain the draft. These people did not come up with that. In fact, they only aspire to come with, they recently said they will come up with something like that, only after they have been criticized that, you guys come up with all these changes in the draft with no explanatory document. So you see how unprepared these people are. So they somehow will have to come up with a document to explain this is why we did this and that and that. But they had all the time in the world. This was first brought to the public about 2 or 3 years ago to the National Assembly. So they had all the time. If they make these changes, if they make some sort of changes in the draft, they should be able to have the time, write an explanatory document and explain to Gambians, this is why we changed this and that. But they did not do any of that. They just gazetted it. You understand? So gazetting it is not illegal, because even ECOWAS praised this, and I see some people criticizing it, and I'm glad that none of the senior members of the UDP embarked on that. all that ECOWAS can do now is to say thank you for for gazetting this, making it available to the public for scrutiny, because still now, no matter what entrenched positions we all have as political parties regarding this document, it is still subject to review and changes. Changes can still happen. So there's nothing final about anything, including the things that have been incorporated into it by the cabinet. So almost anything inside the document right now can be changed. So that's why ECOWAS said to the borough administration, thank you for bringing it back, for public discussion. And I think that you just have to say thank you to them for doing that. Even me, I would say thank you for bringing it back. But let's get to business.
Okay. Mbama, do you have anything before you go?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you, Famara. Thank you. Sam,
well.
Save us. Because I think
I know last week I talked just a little bit about it because I wanted to give myself time to really look into this 2024 draft constitution before I say much. And I want to do that research today. I want to do that today, sometime today. But anyway, I think in what we're doing is one, we're putting what the Gambia government did was actually put the cart before the horse. By just going straight to gazetting this, I think it would have been appropriate to involve the stakeholders in the draft constitution before even gazetting it, because they're just wasting time. Because if number one, 2020 draft constitution was done by CRC, that spent over $100 million in doing that by going around talking to the citizens. And we all have to keep in mind that power belongs to the people, not the president. All right. We have to remember that power belongs to the people. So if the people gave CRC what they thought should be the Constitution, CRC came in and presented that. President doesn't like it because he thought that it personally attacked him or so, or will personally affect him in his legacy. Well, again, we all have to remember that Constitution is not there to satisfy one person. Is there for is our ruling document, is to govern our country, help us govern our country. So when the president and his team, and of course when that went to the National Assembly, it was thrown out. So the president decided to, with his team, put a new constitution together. I thought it would have been appropriate, before doing anything, call all political parties, involve the National Assembly, because they are there to represent the people that spoke to the CRC, right? If they involve National Assembly and all the political party leaders and get a closed door discussion about this and talk about it, get ideas, let them not only get ideas, but get their input. What is good about this? And why did you change? What did you change out of this? They talk about all of that first before they gazette it, because if you gazette it, is subject to change. Those same people will come out and say, well, we don't like this there. Why did you change this? Why did you change this? Then that discussion starts. When that could have been done behind closed doors first, then come to the people and explain to people what they've agreed with, and then bring it out there. And then hopefully, and at that time when they bring it out there, most likely that can pass, because you have input from all the stakeholders. That would have made sense than just making one. If we look at all three constitutions, from our 1997 Constitution to the 2020 Constitution, draft Constitution, and the 2024 draft Constitution, there is something good in all of them. So they, and there are some things bad in all of them, I'll put it that way, or some things that that are not good for our country. So, and they all need to really put our country first before themselves and before their political parties. Look at it from that standpoint, come together, discuss it, and get into some agreement, bring it out, then gazette it. That way, it will not take too long. The gazette period, is the 90 days. It will have to still stand as a procedure. They will follow that. But at that point, all the stakeholders will have a better understanding, a clear idea of what's in the Constitution, what's been changed there. They can go back to their own people and say, we've done this, this, and that. this will help the process to go through a little bit faster. So I think we're going to end up with a similar situation by having this draft constitution being sent out again. It could happen, and of course, is something that will. Another thing that I thought will happen is it is very important for Gambian people. I think that anything can happen. Sending this draft 2024 draft constitution to our National Assembly members, I think one of the things that can happen is this can excuse me, this can cause a chaos in our country. You know, when you have this constitution out there and the president and his team wants to go past this, it can really cause a chaos because one, here's the reason. The president has the votes in the National Assembly to pass that level. Then the next level will be when it goes to referendum. That's where the people are going to speak. That's where they can have a problem. A lot of people may say no to that, and the majority will always carry the vote. And I can see corruption in there. I can see people going out and try to bribe people to vote for it, and all. You can see all kinds of things. That is going to create a chaos. Especially if it passes, it's going to create a chaos in our country. And we've all seen the instability that we've seen when everybody thought that Macky Sall was going to run for the third time. We've seen what happened in Senegal. We've all seen what happened in neighboring countries, Sub-African region, where third term became a problem. Nobody wants the president. I mean, I think, what is it called? The ECOWAS need to address that first before they congratulate Gambia for the president for bringing a new constitution out, and not realizing that there was one that was for 2020 that did not pass. If the president brought the new one up for 2024, you know, they, without knowing that, you know, stakeholders had input in it, you know, just congratulating the president. I think if I were in ECOWAS, I will warn every African president, let's forget about 3 terms. Let's follow democracy as we've seen the countries in the world that has the pure democracy there, to make sure that third term, knowing that it's a problem in Africa, it always bring a problem. We've seen a lot of protests in the streets. We've seen a lot of government officials, government security really firing tear gas on people. It creates a lot of chaos, all because of what third term. Why are they going for third term? Are they the best presidents in the world? No, we've seen the best presidents in the world, right? In the United States here, the finest country in the world. They had produced very, very good presidents, but they only ran the country. They only governed the country for 2 terms. In fact, their terms are 4-year terms, not even 5-year terms, 4-year terms. So 8 years, they are out. Great presidents like you know, we know. So why are African presidents wanting to stay in power for good? I mean, for a longer period of time. It's not good for us. It's not good for us. So I don't support it. So I think this is going to be a problem. I can see a chaos coming to Gambia. I hope not.
Yeah. Sam, just a quick question here. What I was asking Wonderful. You mentioned some good points here when it comes to, like, you know, the president's serving the term limits and all of that. Okay. First, you know, the passing of the last constitution, which is a great constitution, of course, it kind of symbolizes what Gambian people want their, you know, they want to be governed. We all agree that, because the CRRC went around, just like Wonderful was saying, right? That's the constitution they want back, because that was the public opinion constitution. Now, what happened to the parliament? What happened in the parliament? It wasted. 100,000 wasted. 100 million, sorry, wasted.
Over 100 million.
Wasted.
Yep.
So we can't get that back. You understand?
Okay.
At this point, we need to be salvage our country.
Yep.
Okay? We cannot be circumnavigating around the same issue or the same individuals, about something that we fought for. The reason why we are in this corner, even with the 3 years coming to 5 years, Barrow running, taking advantage of the system, is because the coalition failed. Otherwise, the first thing that's supposed to be done is to change the constitution instead of changing the age limit. That part of the term limit should be in the first thing. But they are all playing around with this.
Fire.
All of them.
Playing around with fire. That's right.
Yeah, they were all playing around with this. You can't take one person responsible for this. Because everybody want to use it as a tool, as a riding tool to stay longer in power.
So I want to say something here.
This. Anybody in that coalition knew they should have changed the term limit first. But they never fought for that. They fought for other areas of interest. So now, the man who was emboldened took a right, and then now he capitalized with and Jammeh's people. Nobody is here to sugarcoat anything. That's what Barrow did.
Let me just say something.
Manipulate the system. Manipulate the election. Manipulate everything possibly. Where we are now. Now he's almost 3 years or 2 years sort of one time. And here is the constitution. Here is like we are babies.
Sawaneh, can you hear me?
So he trick us like babies and muscle us politically on the ballot box everywhere to get to this point. Now he laid down the constitution and the international community is clapping. Or the ECOWAS is clapping. Thank you for bringing the constitution back. So at the end of his second term, and his second term, the constitution stand for the next 10 years for him to serve. So
let's allow him to come.
This guy think he's smart. He's not smart. But what I'm trying to say is we are stuck because of our own error. We are stuck.
No, that was not an error. Sawaneh, can I just say something here? You are kind of mixing a few things here. That is to say, the term limit. Instead of changing the term limit, Dabo, and literally this is what you are trying to say. Dabo and his UDP went in for changing the age limit. So he changed the age limit because he wants to make sure that anybody who will be appointed at that in that position is appointed in accordance with the law. So that was the plan. But you need to understand that an important thing such as a term limit in the constitution is an entrenched clause.
Entrenched clause.
So you cannot just change that because you have 50% majority. No, it doesn't happen like that. At some point you may not.
But why not try? Why not try though?
At some point you may even have to consult the Gambians by way of a referendum. So before you go, that's not going to be a free gift. That's going to be very, very expensive financially. So the thing that when you want to take Gambians to the polls about legislation by way of referendum, you want to make sure that it's a whole constitution. So I think what Dabo did at the time was the appropriate thing. Change the ones that you can change and just wait. And you don't have to go into changing entrenched clauses because you have a core commission that you want to establish to look after to form a whole document, a draft constitution, and present it to the National Assembly and to the Gambians. So he cannot even do that. He does not have the powers to do the things that you said he failed to do.
But then Alifa came to the parliament and said, because a 1997 constitution is not that bad. Instead of us coming with a new constitution, why don't we change that and go to a referendum with that instead of coming with CRRC and spending 100 million? Alifa said that. Nobody listened to him.
And that's what I support. I wanted that 90. In fact, I really, I'll go back here and say some of the things that I said in the past. I am really still really disappointed, because I was disappointed in the first National Assembly when Barrow took when we changed from 2016 to 2017 elections. All right. The reason why I was disappointed is I said to them they were in a hurry because the president wanted to make Famara Jallow Tambajan. They all agreed to make her the vice president, and because of her age, they could not. They had to change the constitution immediately, that part, so that she could be appointed as the vice president. I said that was fine and done. If they did that, why didn't they continue with the same 1997 Constitution and change all the things that they could change in their power, and then end up in a referendum with the things that they can't change?
No, the things that will need to be done, it is going to be such a complex one that the yes or no, it cannot be just in just one referendum, and most likely that will also fail because sorry, somebody's trying.
Oh, yeah. I think he was getting a call or so, and that disconnected.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is,
Sam, you and I are perfectly right.
Yep.
They
had the opportunity. There were some things that don't.
But
there are some things, a lot of things that don't require a referendum. The National Assembly could have changed that time. They could have changed all the bad ones out of there.
You had the lion in your hand.
Yeah, exactly. Get all of that done,
and then, you let it go.
Then get into get into making a new constitution and go to a referendum for that. Yeah. That's what we needed to do.
That should have been the first step. Even though that whole 3 years could take us doing that, that's one thing to accomplish. Yeah. At least Barrow will not have been on the loose.
Mm-hmm.
But you let you cage the lion.
Yeah.
You open the cage, the lion say, bye-bye, you can't get me.
Yeah.
Now, what happened now? We are stuck.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying, if you want to challenge anything here by having to protest, I don't see that happening or even working. Yeah. The only thing that can work, go to the ballot box, vote him out, take the Constitution, try to negotiate as much as you can. Maybe they can, with the negotiation table, certain things can be flexible. I mean, they can agree on certain things. Now it comes down to agreeing on certain things. Get to the decision table.
Sorry guys, I had a call and then I dropped.
Yeah. So we're just gonna wrap this up. I know we are an hour above. But what do we want to do here? My thought process and Wandifa, you can agree to this or not. But what I'm saying, what has been done has been done. We can't go back to yesterday. Moving forward, right? My thought process is now, two things can happen. Yes, Barrow don't deserve to go third term. We all agree on that. Because first of all, the country is not going the right direction.
We don't want any president to stay for 3 terms. We don't want it.
We don't want it.
I don't want it.
We don't want it, period. It's stated in the CRRC.
Yeah.
Secondly, the country is not even going in the right direction. We don't feel that Barrow is even the right person to go with that. But right now, what can we do for the sake of our country? Two things we can stop Barrow: vote him in out, and UDP, of course, your party has that, ability to make it happen with the political strategies that you guys have, or if you need other political parties to be coming together to form coalition, whatever way. That's one approach. Secondly, we have to have a constitution. At least if you get loose this time around, it cannot get loose in 10 years. Because it's better to have that than to have nothing. What about if we get loose for 30 years like Jawara? That would have been worse. Jawara spent 30 years. So remember, these people are power drunk. These leaders are African leaders. Unless you have something there to stop them, they are power drunk. Jawara is one of them. Jammeh is one of them. If we don't come under a coalition, Jammeh would have gone for 30 years. So my point here is that let's do one thing at a time. Let's agree on Constitution by sitting with, like you say, I agree with you guys. It's supposed to be dialogue first before gazetting it. And that is an error that Barrow government did. You understand? So
you are agreeing with the experts. That's what they are all saying. Barrow made a mistake with regards to the dialogue area. But when it comes to the substance, they still agree with him. That's what baffles me, because I don't understand that. I don't get that.
The substance they might agree with, inside, like, let's say the things he took out, it's not like everybody will agree to that. But that's why I said the integrity clause, all this stuff that you're talking about, those things could be negotiated. The only area that Barrow don't want negotiation, I'm pretty sure would be the key area would be the time limit, which I think we can let him have it. And
No,
let him
have what? Let him stay in power for
no. Let's go with that 2 terms. Whatever is applied, either way, retroactive or whatever. I think.
No, but then there will be a possibility of him staying in power for 20 years. That defeats the purpose of the change that we effected in 2017.
But then, from Wendifa, you and I and Sam, everybody's responsible for that mess.
No, we are not. How can you blame the voters who voted for the
because
right
we
cause?
refused to vote him out, and secondly, we did not put the constitution. We didn't capitalize on 1997 constitution.
Okay, you said something about that constitution. You may not. Don't take my words for it, but take the words of the experts, such as those serving in the Constitutional Review Commission. It was not in the best interest of Gambia and our legislative structure to just change. They used to call it this piecemeal by piecemeal changes. They said it wasn't going to work or solve the problem. Just wait, because you have to understand one thing. You have to understand one thing. That is to say, when you have the main constitution and then you have subsidiary acts, okay? The constitution doesn't speak about a lot of things. It just talks about broader things, and then you have other acts and acts of parliament here and there. You understand? So all these things need to align. So by the time I dropped, we were talking about this. Alifa said we need to change this piecemeal by piecemeal, like changing this 1997 constitution. It will not work, because what I'm trying to tell you is, if you do it like that, yeah, what you're gonna end up having is a lot of the legislations that you have or acts of parliament will be illegal. You understand? They will not align with the main constitution, because these ones they are all from the Jammeh area. So the amount of change that needed to be done could only be done effectively if you have a new constitution. So the legitimate, and this was not because that was said and it happened. This was because the experts, including the Chief Justice and all these people that were involved, they believe that a new constitution was going to be the best solution. That's the only tailored that's the only tailored solution to the problem that we had in hand.
Okay, I mean, listen. Again,
so I believe that what he's saying, I totally understand that, but I believe that if when they changed the age limit for Famara Drammeh to be appointed as the vice president, at that time, that was a one-time deal. They didn't get it done. That's fine. I think even with that, actually, there are certain things that, I mean, we don't have time. Time does not wait for Gambia. And we are 59 years old already, and we're still way behind time, right? So at that time, I have a strong belief that there could be some things, like they could touch some other things that are controversial from the military government, the 1997 government. There are some things that they could have changed, and look at what impact does it have on certain acts and change that too. Just run those and get those out of the way. Just even if they pick five things rather than one. I wanted them to pick.
No, it wasn't actually one. If I may remind you, there were things that were changed in that constitution, including what is it called, things regarding the local government, because and also the president was such a powerful person that he could just literally dismiss members of the parliament. All those were things that were altered.
Those were changed. Yes, I heard that. Yes.
Exactly. So, but that also tells you that our members of parliament are not proactive. I criticize them all, including the UDP members. If you ask some of the UDP MPs, they will tell you, don't listen to him. He's a crazy guy. Because I believe in criticizing our public officials. They've ensured that because what Jammeh did was, he came up with a law that made it possible for anyone who was expelled from your party, the party that sent you to parliament, to be literally removed from parliament. So that's the law that he relied on. If he is dissatisfied with any member of parliament, he will just expel you from APRC, and by default, you become like,
you'll be out of job.
Exactly. So they made sure that was not possible. And other things about the local government, and also the way they should be removed as MPs. You understand? So the MPs, I think the box should stop with them. They are the ones who made some really selfish, altercations to the constitution, like specifically, even coming up with new incentives for themselves. Let's be honest here. It is the members of the parliament who did this. And as it was happening, I criticized them, including Yakumba Jaide. I said, this is just an embarrassment. You guys are literally telling us that the other civil servants are getting allowances and beautiful cars. You are not having them. You want them as well. That's such a disgrace. And it's that this whole issue of the vehicle issue, the allowances, it all started from the previous legislature. And then these ones also, they literally started from where they left the last time. So they started giving themselves more and more and more and more money. But one thing they are not telling Gambians is how much they are getting from their committee meetings, committee sittings. These people are getting paid good money, but they want us to believe that they do not have sufficient money, and therefore they need more money. So if you talk about selfishness, nobody in that system of government is more selfish than our members of parliament. They are the most selfish group of people in the Gambia.
So again, this the whole issue here, argument here about the constitution is now we have Borough Constitution, people call it here.
It's a cabinet constitution. Let's call it cabinet constitution.
Cabinet constitution. Okay. Whatever it is, it is. They gazetted it, they brought it now, and then it's going to be looked over, right? And then perhaps negotiation will take place. I don't know how what is, but the bottom line here is to have a constitution.
But I don't know if you are aware of the Supreme Islamic Council trying to bring UDP and NPP together once again. I'm not sure if it's going to be fruitful, but they are attempting it again. And I think our understanding is if there's going to be any kind of dialogue, it is not just to tone down the political rhetorics, but also to make sure that there is a consensus on the most contentious issue here. But like I said, I'm not speaking for UDP, but I know that UDP may be able to let the president get away with some of his demands. That is to say, he doesn't want to be checked or all his powers taken away from him. But also, UDP wants to make sure that they stick with what Solo Sandeng and others died for. That is to make sure that everyone who comes to power does not stay beyond 10 years. And this is simple.
Well, I know if Barrow said that he will not contest the third term, I'm pretty sure most people would agree, even some of the things that are removed in that constitution, because I know that is really the elephant in the room. But at the same time,
okay, you know that, right? okay.
That is the elephant in the room. But I know that if Barrow said too that he's not gonna, that's a no-go area, right? I know we still need a constitution for the sake of the country, because that means Barrow can even run for 30 years if we don't have a constitution. Because there's still
Barrow may run for 30 years. Let me just tell you something. My observation is Barrow is just looking for a situation wherein if he retires from presidency, he will not be persecuted and have his properties taken away from him and exiled.
We know that.
You understand? Even right now, I know it is a wild demand, but if there is an agreement that Barrow will have to step away and not contest for a third term, and that if UDP wins, they will not go after him and his properties, Barrow will most likely agree. He's really scared about his life after presidency.
We know that. We know, yeah.
Exactly. So, brother, we know it now. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. No, because that is something that is out of our discussion, because we know we're gonna come to that. We're gonna invite you for that, or your some of the members of your party on that, if you would, in order to look at some of the political reasoning of Barrow. We can have a special day for that. But right now, we just want this constitution, to have a clear discussion, because what we are discussing here could change minds and say, you know what, let's try to have a dialogue here. We all messed up at some point, including me, who is even not there, because we are all part of the game. Okay. So I think what we have to do is to find a solution. And the only way to find a solution is give and take. We have to give and take. And this constitution is the approach that we have to do. Now, this is not the only weapon for Barrow. The other weapon is election is coming. You guys are mounting a very, very powerful campaign, I'm pretty sure, towards Barrow, in case he contested or anybody in his party. So we have solutions for him. as a nation. If people don't want,
when you say solution, what I can see you insinuating is just letting him run for a third term. What I'm trying to tell you is that just defeats the purpose of the change. And Barrow, mind you, Barrow himself understood this to the level that he expressed this verbally. He said, I do not only wish to introduce the term limit, I want to make sure that it is an entrenched clause that such that if another president comes, he will not be able to change it.
When did he say that?
Barrow is on, what is it called? He's on record for saying this in Mandinka.
Yeah, but when? When did he say it?
I don't know, during his first term? Yeah, during his first term.
Exactly. First time Barrow is here in the US, saying that, 2 terms. I was there in the rally that was organized here. So, but that's 8 years ago. Somebody who spoke 8 years ago and where they are now, that time, the power hasn't get to him. So what he said in the past, you have to even look at that. What I'm trying to tell you is that to go for the third time, if you want to only see, the problem here is you guys are politicians, but sometimes I feel like you don't, politically, you're not strategic when it comes to things. You don't put your eggs in one basket. There are strategies you have to put in place. Yes, you don't want him to go for third term. But what if he does? What are you gonna do? You have to have another target, which is to vote him out. Why are you not confident that you can vote him out?
Well, I think UDP as an entity right now is not focused on anything more than the 2026 preparation. So that weapon that you are talking about is exactly what we are preparing. UDP is very focused. UDP right now is very focused on 2026. You understand? Even you see all these discussions happening on Facebook, in Gambia. We are organizing meetings everywhere in Europe right now. We are in America right now. By the way. So
the base is there.
Voting him out, we are trying.
Exactly. That's make sure that the election is transparent, just like how Liberia did it. Okay, have your own online IEC. Make sure that you have routers and smartphone in every booth, and have trusted people, and get your own IEC, and have the international community, watch that election, and get a registration that is transparent. You can win this election. So I don't want for us to be battling on constitution and make it not to pass. That's the disaster for Gambia. Because guess what? We have nothing. It's better to have something, Sam, than to have nothing, correct?
Yep, half a loaf is better than no bread.
Wonderful, correct?
No, we have something already.
But we do have something, and we just need to, if this is, I say this, number one, we should not have spent over 100 million in doing this. We could have done it a better way. I said that before. And number two, since we've already spent that money on that,
the taxpayers' funds. We should respect
exactly. Since we've already spent that money on there, it's a bad time to get something right. Let's get it right. Get it right. Go to referendum, get it right, and then pass a constitution. So we have a good constitution. We don't want to pass a bad constitution. We are saying that 1997 constitution is not good for a country. Well, we shouldn't repeat that by passing another one that's not good for the country. We need to think beyond today. We need to think 20, 30, 40,
Sam, we need to agree. We need to agree, right? If two sides are, or if there's a fraction in the constitution, what do we have to do? We have to agree to have one. Because Barrow alone cannot pass it.
Right.
Cabinet and his people alone. This is you have to get a 2/3 of the population. And then go to a referendum, right? So this is something that one area cannot pass it. So that's why I'm trying to tell you that, because this is an entrenched clause that you guys said. The whole entire exactly. So this is something that has to have national consensus.
Right.
So our talk here, it should be what has changed. How can we put issues together? How can we sit down, even to have a national dialogue on this, and get it resolved? Because they cannot make it happen. Nobody else can make it happen by themselves.
Yeah, this is why I said they're just wasting time, because they put the horse before the cart. What they should have done is, before gazetting this, just invite all the stakeholders.
Exactly.
Invite the stakeholders.
But they didn't do that.
And get that part done, so that when you take it to the Gazette and gazette it, at that time, the 90 days is going to have on the Gazette, At that time, all the political party leaders and the National Assembly members can go back to their constituencies. Political party leaders will go back to their party members and tell them what they've agreed, what has happened. That way, when it's time for referendum, there may not be too much confusion in there. You see,
exactly. But what you're saying, Sam, that should have happened, but it didn't happen. So now what is gonna happen?
Now they're gonna go. They need to get back to that drawing board by sitting down,
sit down together,
and see what can change, and then negotiate. Yeah, negotiate there, give and take, come to an agreement. Let's pass it.
Let's pass it. That's it.
Move on to the next.
Wonderful. I think that is the solution right here. You can, this is a takeaway point of discussion. Sam and I agree on that. I don't know if you agree, or are you gonna say that Barrow must not run third term and otherwise no constitution? What is your take?
But you can. The problem is, then why do we call it a battle for freedom if you have to settle for defeat? Because this is defeat. Like seriously,
you've been defeated since day one. We've been defeated since day one.
Let's not talk about this. Let's not talk about this topic as if it fails, there's no consequence for Barrow. Remember, I said something here at the beginning of my
if you want to focus on the consequence for Barrow, you're gonna
one second.
If you want to focus on the consequence for Barrow, and you forget the nation, what the nation is losing, we're gonna have a problem.
We will correct his mess at the right time. The problem is we cannot do what we aspire to do if we are not in power. You have to understand that. But we are also not going to undermine Barrow just to satisfy our own ego or whatever. That's not what we are doing here. The problem here is Barrow is already there, like he's in his second term. So if we are going with him to a third term, that is an incumbent. You understand? And you are trying to simplify this. I also have to go. You also need to end this program. But you are oversimplifying this. And if I may tell you why you are oversimplifying this, is this. You are saying that let's settle for this. Now, even if we have to say the Constitution will not apply retroactively, it will only be from now henceforth. There is still room for a lot of negotiation, and it is still going to be a very tough negotiation. You know why? Because, one, Barrow said if this time will not be counted, that means Barrow will serve his 10 years, right? And we can be able to go with him to the polls again from 2026. But every genuine Gambian will want to ask, can he run again in the event that he is able to win 2026 and run again in 2031 or 2032? Because you don't want by way of constitution giving the president a possibility to stay in power for 20 years. You cannot use the constitution to legally give right to somebody to run to be in office for 20 years. And even if you are looking at this from the point of view of Barrow, how do you think history will reflect on Barrow's legacy? If, in fact, he is the one who introduced the term limit and stayed in power for 20 years or 15 years. And he said he is the mastermind of all the 10 years thing. Brother, it does not, we have to tell each other the truth. And also, lastly, let's look at what happened with our neighbors. I couldn't make one point, and I will just let that go until another time. But let's look at Senegal. What happened in Senegal? Macky Sall did the same thing. Macky Sall, Senegal, I believe the term limit used to be 7 years. He served one of the 7. And in the middle of the 7, he introduced this term limit, and he said, but my previous 7 will not be counted. You understand? These are issues that politicians come up with. We just need to tell the truth to our guy, and we have to tell him, look, comrade, this is what happened in Senegal. It did not end well for Macky Sall. And it come at a cost.
What happened to Macky Sall? You voted. He was voted out, correct?
No,
Macky was not voted out. Remember, Macky was not voted out.
He announced at the end that he's not going to run for a third term.
Exactly, because the people came out and protested massively, and lives were lost. We have to remember this, and that's why I mentioned that the national security interest should not be overlooked. There is a very good chance that the potential of Gambians coming out to protest against the third term is very high, and it's up there.
Did Macky introduce the term limit, or the term limit was there when Macky came?
It wasn't there. Macky introduced it, but he said, and he changed 2 things fundamentally, if I can remember. That is to scrap the term of a president from 7 to 5. It used to be 7 for them. He scrapped it to 5. And it was, I think, unlimited.
What time in his presidency he did it? In the beginning?
Yes, he came up with it, I believe, in his first term. But he said that term that he did it was not going to be counted. But regardless, he just said that my first term will not be counted. And that's what Barrow is trying here. Trying to tell us that,
but Barrow is doing it at the end.
We don't even know. Wait, we don't even know. That's why I said what you are trying to oversimplify this. We don't even know if Barrow is saying my first and second term will not be counted, or he's saying that only my first will not be counted. Do you know exactly which one he said is not supposed to be counted?
That's why I said let's go to the discussion table.
Yeah, that's why I also told you that if he's telling us that none of his terms can be counted as long as the new constitution is not introduced. We cannot, by way of introducing a new constitution, give him a legitimate right to run 2 times after being there for 10 years. Therefore, using a constitution to allow a president to stay in power for 20 years.
I'm just saying that we cannot. But if worse come to shovel, there is no other choice, right?
No, the choice cannot be 20 years in power.
So the choice is going to the street.
Well, Barrow will have to face Gambians. That I can assure you. Look, and I'm not speaking on behalf of the UDP, but what I can tell you is a lot of Gambians will make sure that Barrow, we are going to make sure, as a Gambian, I can tell you, we want to make sure that we do not go to the polls with Adama Barrow in the event that he's trying to say that all his 2 terms should not be counted and that he should be given a fresh 2 term after 2026. Bro, that's just not fair.
So if you're not going to the term with President Barrow, and Barrow said he's going to the polls, and you say you're not going to the polls with him, what happened? You're not going to boycott the election?
There will not be any kind of boycott. What happened in Senegal?
There'll be chaos. I can tell you, there'll be chaos. It's just going to create
brother, you are trying to underestimate the capabilities of Gambia, and this is not like a UDP thing. You understand? Because I support UDP, but this is not like a UDP thing. When the 3 years happened, the UDP executive were not, involved at all.
Sam,
it is just Gambians, reasonable Gambians.
If Barrow is if Barrow is going to the polls, right? Yeah. They're going to stop him from not going to the polls.
Yes,
nobody can stop him. It's just going to create a chaos and instability in the country.
And then people like you who are now telling him that he possibly can have a legitimate right to contest will not be in the Gambia. We may die. He might do things to us undesirable, yes. But at the end of the day, so all of you.
No, I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not telling.
No, this is not about being a lawyer. This is about citizenship.
No. I'm not telling, but I'm saying there's nothing to stop him. What is it to stop him? Besides election, voting him out, or coming to the streets.
The legitimate interest, the legitimate interest of Gambians to make sure that anyone who comes to power stays not beyond 10 years is what should stop Barrow from contesting.
But it's not in the laws.
Okay, now, brother, you want to tell me that Gambians do not overwhelmingly agree that only every president should serve for 10 years?
They agree on
exactly. So why should Barrow go beyond 10?
But it's not in the laws. That's what I'm saying.
No, we cannot use that.
If something is not in the law, how can you hold me with that?
No, then that's why I said
that's a moral obligation. If I like it,
can I just even agree with you? Can I just agree with you that let me just, for the sake of this conversation, let me just agree with you that he has a legal right. But I want to say it is ideal for him to take a derogation from that right.
Morally, yes,
because of the legitimate interest of Gambians and also the national security concern.
I agree with you.
Yes, so he may claim the right, but what we are trying to tell you, it is not all about rights.
And remember, Barrow is not by himself. He is driven by people.
If the law is as crystal clear as that, we will not even need court systems to interpret laws. But Barrow can say he has the right, but we cannot say that.
Brother, in order to be safe and not to be sorry, Gambia, we should just prepare how to vote Adam Barrow out. That's the solution, and have a constitution by dialogue. If we don't want to be sorry and we want to be safe, this is the plan.
If you don't want to be sorry, I think that is subject to interpretation. But what I want to tell you here is, okay, now when you say dialogue, even if we have to take that approach, don't you not think that it should be the government that should initiate that, or at least even if it is initiated by the international community, the government should spearhead it, right?
Yes, I agree.
But now look at the actions of the chief executive, who is saying that he's staying in power. until after the demise of the leader of the opposition. While we are discussing about the term limit of the president.
Okay,
Brother,
that word that you keep bringing in, the demise of the opposition leader, that is something that everybody went against because it's very immoral, irresponsible, and
no, you did not at any point defended that, and I'm not even throwing that at you. What I'm trying to tell you is,
I'm just saying that one, by saying that it's a political attack on the leader. Okay?
For me, it's not a political attack. For me, it shows his bad faith as we negotiate the new constitution.
Yeah. Anyway, that one, is something that I again, those kind of jabs, when Barrow throw that, I see that he's trying to aggravate people in UDP to the extent so they can act, that's why your leaders say don't act anything against that.
And even if you look at that statement, what triggered Barrow, it is scary. The only thing that triggered him was because he said Dabo wants to take away land from him, the land that he allocated, that was allocated for his life after presidency. Dabo going after that land.
We're all against that here in this platform. Okay, yeah. Everybody, every concerned Gambia, ask Sam. We spoke about that. That's very
no, but I want to give you a little bit more context. If I may ask, do you know that the president? No, let me just tell you this. Do you know that the president was actually, according to the information that we have, he was actually given land at the Brufut Heights?
But we don't want to come back to this land because
just wait.
So there is the president came up with something that also exposed other politicians.
Dabo said, what Dabo said was this, very simple. If another government comes, he did not even say I. And this was a misunderstanding for the president and many other people. Dabo did not say I will take it from him. He said, if another government comes, they may take that land and give it back to the state. And this is what Barrow misinterpreted and then came out and came ballistic. And
I know you are a solid and a very solid gate for your party. But what we are trying to, when you want to deviate us to politics a little bit, we're trying to we have a subject matter, this thing here, which is the constitution. So if we want to bring that up a little bit, it means to us we are going back to politics. We have a time for politics, yeah. But to conclude, and I know we are above time. So we get it time. Yes. But definitely, to conclude this, I will let Sam come in, and then of course, I will say something, and then you can give us our final words. But Sam, what is the solution for the constitution at this point?
Yeah, I think the solution is really for the parties, like all the stakeholders, to come together and come up to an agreement and pass from there. Let the National Assembly vote for it, then we go to referendum and pass it. But there's got to be some kind of agreement first. That's what I think needs to happen. The stakeholders need to come together with the government. Well, of course, the government need to invite the stakeholders to come in and critique that constitution and see what needs to stay in there, what needs to come out, what needs to be changed, and change that, agree to change it, and then move on. I think that's what needs to happen at this point. Yeah,
I also agree because at this point, they gazetted it without involving the stakeholders. So they put the horse behind they put the cart behind the horse. So now we have to do it over, have stakeholders there, and then like he said, when they first said, the government need to spearhead this. They need to be involving these stakeholders and making sure that they have a negotiating documents that give and take. I'm pretty sure not everything that the other sides or the other Gambians would want, they're gonna get, but at least most of it. So the government also, what are their concerns and what they think is not fair? We need to look at that and give and take, and then be able to get a constitution. Because without a constitution, like I said, that means we are back
to square one. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So wonderful. What are your final words?
This is is an interesting topic, and people are going to talk about it. It's a big document that people need to go
Yeah,
through.
thank you. My battery is literally like dying, you know. So
dying.
it's good that we are ending the program. Yeah.
But this is a very important discussion, Wandifa, and we are blessed to have you.
Definitely.
We are discussing. The arguments were very fruitful. But your final thoughts, and as our viewers are looking, and then they will come in later on.
Yeah. Thank you so very much. Actually, are you guys on YouTube as well?
Yes, we are on YouTube. Yes.
Okay, good. You are on Facebook and YouTube, right?
Yes. Yeah, we'll send you all the links. Yeah.
Okay, nice. Yeah. So that was that. I think it was a very fruitful conversation, but you know, you come across as a very pro Barrow guy, yourself. You know, then let me just say, I don't know.
You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised what others would say. It's like you always want to be a balance.
I will not be surprised if somebody also say you support PDIs, but you seem to side with the president with a lot of substantive issues about this. What is it called? This draft constitution. He got it wrong. Like, you cannot have the foundation wrong and the right, you know, somewhere along the road. He got it wrong from the foundation, and Gambians should just call it as such. I know we are scared of, you know, being in a situation where it's going to be, we are going to be without a constitution, but that's not going to be the case. You understand? He can violate our rights, you know, but at the end of the day, we have constitutional courts. Some minor violations, he may get away with them, but for the most serious ones, they will be litigated, and we have the court systems to rely on for, you know, issues like that. So personally, I am not very, very bothered. Some will say lawless. No, we know. I don't think we go. I'm not going to say it that way. I think it is just going to be, you know, a situation where we just need laws, and I think hopefully we will have the laws that we want when we have a UDP government. Because President Adama Barrow, who knows, when we, you know, have any kind of agreement with him, we can have a sort of agreement with him regarding the most contentious parts of this draft constitution, and he comes up with something else, because we know his desires. The desire is to stay longer in power, and also to be very powerful while staying in office. So these are the two wishes of the president, and these are not, you know, things that UDP or any other opposition party should fall for. Thank you so very much.
Yeah. So I have a comment here. They said that one person said that, in my opinion, for better Gambia, this Barrow draft belongs to the bin, period. So this is what we are saying. I mean, if we throw everything in the bin, then the bin will be full and we will have nothing. So it's better to challenge what we have and get some piece, some of it, than to totally be without something. I mean, it makes sense. And then who knows, when Barrow is voted out, we can go back and change again.
Yeah.
Constitution can be amended anytime, correct?
No, for me, settlement for anything that will give Barrow the legal right to be in office for 10 years, I think is a defeat, and you should not settle for something like that.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I guess, you know, this is this is to be continued.
I am in that same boat. I look at Gambia moving forward. If we want our country to move forward, we should not encourage anyone, no matter who the person is, even if they fall out of the sky and come down and say, God sent me to be a president. We don't want him for rest. You know, we don't want him for past 2 terms. That's it. 2 terms is enough.
2 terms is the word. 2 terms, Sam. 2 terms is the word for everybody.
Yeah.
But again, we need, you know, good governance, and we need a constitution.
Yep.
So let's fix it. Let's make it happen.
So, thank you so very much, guys.
Thank you. And then we'll get it done. Yep, that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you, though. Thank you, wonderful. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Sawaneh. And my Drammeh Kunda, man. I don't see him anymore.
Famara Drammeh, yes.
Well, yeah, he's at work, I think. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all. Yeah.